Dear students, Assalamu alaikum. I hope you would be safe and sound inside your homes. Dear students, still this COVID 19 pandemic is moving here and there in our societies. Its impact can be seen to the greatest extent, and day in and day out, we watch numerous people are being detected, are being found COVID positive patients. Better is to follow all SOPs in letter and spirit so that this deadly virus can't catch us. Dear students, in these days we have to develop and we have to follow COVID appropriate behavior. And COVID appropriate behavior means simply we have to bring changes in our behaviors so that this COVID can't catch us. Behavioral changes in these days are very important. For example, you have to keep the social distancing while interacting with the people, while talking to people. You have to wear masks all the time to cover your nose and mouth so that this deadly corona can't enter your respiratory tract. And you have to care for your personal hygiene. You have to regularly wash your hands with soap, and use of sanitizer is also must. Dear students, I am posted in middle school Falmarak, but yesterday a student from Tarpura called me to make me know, to make me learn challenges to the bipolarity. At that the challenges that were to the bipolarity world. Dear students, first of all you need to know what is bipolarity. Bipolarity can be defined as the system in the world order where major global economic, military, and cultural influences is held between two states. Its classical example is the Cold War era. Dear students, after the culmination of Second World War in 1945, the world got divided into two hostile blocs or two opposed blocs. One bloc was headed by the former USSR and another by the United States of America, and there we can see the world got changed into two opposite blocs and two opposite poles. And this the concept of this rivalry between the two and the world order in which two states emerged as the superpowers, and there was a rivalry between the two, the major political, this economic dominance was of these two blocs. So this was the concept of bipolarity world. So during the Cold War there was, the world was divided into two poles or two blocs, two ideologies, and this concept of the division is simply called the bipolarity. And simply you have to keep in the mind that the bipolarity can be defined as an international system in which major global economic, military, and cultural influences is between the two states. And the classical example or the classic example of the bipolarity was that of the Cold War. So we can see after the culmination of the Second World War, one of its consequences was that the world got divided into two hostile blocs, two opposite blocs, and they were promoting two. Both the blocs were promoting two different ideologies, and USSR, former USSR, was promoting the communist ideology, and the capitalist ideology was promoted still by the United States of America. But in 1991, uh, Cold War ended when former USSR collapsed, and the bipolar world changed into the unipolar world. So the concept of the bipolar world, the the two giant states where the all global issues were, or the global economic issues, political issues were between the two, and the collapse of the USSR in 1991 made the end of the bipolarity world of the Cold War era. But what were the challenges to the question was asked, what were the challenges to the bipolar world? There were two challenges to the bipolar world during the Cold War era. One was the new international economic order, another the non-alignment movement. During 1970, when there was a conference of United Nations on uh, development and trade, that was the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, and during 1970, the proposal was set forward by the developing nations for improving their interests, for developing their interests, that there should be uh, cooperation between South, and the developed countries should assist the developing countries in improving their status and improving their position. And this uh, was forwarded by set of proposal was forwarded by the developing nations during 1970, when there was a conference of on United Nations Conference on Development and Trade. And next is also the new international economic order was one of the challenge to the bipolarity world. And another challenge was the non-alignment movement. Dear students, during the Cold War, both the blocs, that is former USSR and American bloc, was trying to catch each country and to join their military aims. But most of the countries, after the culmination of this Second World War, got liberated from the colonization, from the colonialism, and they thought we should not join either of the two blocs because their fresh independence would not be safeguarded, would not be safe there. So they hit a plan not to join the military aims of both the blocs, however, to develop relations with both the blocs, not to remain neutral in the world, but not to join the military aims of both the blocs. So the non-alignment policy was hit. It was simply the foreign policy of those countries which got liberated after the culmination of Second World War and did not join either of the two blocs. It's not a neutrality. So the foreign policy of those countries which gained independence after the end of the Second World War and did not join either of the two blocs, and they formed a net in order to remain aloof from the Cold War politics. And this non-alignment policy was second challenge to the bipolarity world. So simply you have to keep in the mind, during the Cold War era, the bipolar world had two challenges. One, the new international economic order, and second, the non-alignment policy that was hit by those countries which gained the independence after the end of Second World War. Indian Prime Minister, first Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru, and similarly Marshal Tito of Yugoslavia, Colonel Nisar of the Egypt, these were the pioneers, or these were the leaders who hit the non-alignment policy. And non-alignment policy and new international economic order during the 70s, when it proposed was put forward by the developing nations for their interests, for the improving their own interests, or for the reduction of traps, was the challenge to the bipolarity world, और बाइपोलरिटी ड्यूरिंग द कोल्ड वार एरा कश्मीरी में बता दूंगा मैं इस बाइपोलरिटी वर्ल्ड यह सिस्टम आसान सो वर्ल्ड इकोनॉमिक ऑर्डर आसान यथ मज इकोनॉमिक मिलिट्री कल्चरल इन्फ्लुएंस आसान यह दोन स्टेटन दरमियान गसान शेयर ये कोल्ड वार स्टार्ट गई सेकंड वर्ल्ड वार गई खत्म वर्ल्ड गो डिवाइड इनटू टू ब्लॉक्स अख ब्लॉक गो एमर्ज एज USSR पकन आइडियालजी कम्युनिस्ट आइडियालजी ब्या गो कैपिटलिस्ट ब्लॉक यह कैपिटलिस्ट ब्लॉक अत हेड करान यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स ऑफ अमेरिका तो इस कोल्ड वार पीरियड ऑफ टेंशन बिटवीन 1945 टू 1991 मगर 1991 मज USSR गसान ब्रेक तो कोल्ड वार मकलान गो बाइपोलरिटी हंद कंसेप्ट यह तेल कोल्ड वार एरास मज یَتھ منٛز world اوس divide گوٚمُت two opposite blocks منٛز. پَتہٕ یہِ bipolarity world گوٚو change into unipolar world ییٚلہِ مطلب USSR پھُٹ 1991 منٛز. گوٚو یُس bipolarity worldَس منٛز ٲس چیلینج کوٗلڈ وارَس منٛز. کوٗلڈ وارَس منٛز ٲس چیلینج اکھ اوس یُس نیو انٹرنیشنل اِکانمِک آرڈر ییٚلہِ 70s منٛز گٔے مطلب یوٗنایٹِڈ نیشنل کانفرنس آن ٹریڈ اینڈ ڈیولپمنٹ تَتھ منٛز یِم ڈیولوپِنگ نیشنٕز ٲسۍ تِمو کوٚرُکھ اکھ مطلب پرپوزل مطلب فاروٲڈ کہِ سٲنۍ انٹرسٹ تہِ گژھن برونٛٹھ پَکٕنۍ تہٕ یِم ہسا ڈیولوپٕڈ نیشنٕز چھِ تِم گژھن ٹیرِفٕز کَرٕنۍ رِڈکشن یعنی سٲنۍ انٹرسٹ تہِ گژھن برونٛٹھ پَکنہٕ یہِ بَنیو اکھ چیلینج بیٚیہِ یُس نان ایلاجمنٹ پالسی ہِٹ گٔے یہِ کوٚرُکھ تِمو مُلکو ہِٹ یِم سیکنڈ وٲرلڈ وار پٮ۪ٹھ آزاد گٔے یِمو دوٚپُکھ کانٛہہ تہِ بلاک کَرُن أسۍ جویِن کینٛہہ یِمو بَنووُکھ پَنُن اکھ گرُپ تہٕ سٲرسٕے یُس یِمو گرُپ بَنووُکھ یِہٕنٛز یِم پالسی آسہٕ تَتھ پالسی ٲس وَنان نان ایلاجمنٹ موٗمینٹ یِمو کوٚرُکھ نہٕ مِلٹری ایمٕز دُشوَنۍ بلاکن ہُنٛد جویِن کینٛہہ چاہے یہِ USSR اوس یا ایمریکا اوس گوٚو نان ایلاجمنٹ موٗمینٹ گوٚو اکھ تہٕ دوٚیِم گوٚو نیو انٹرنیشنل اِکانمِک آرڈر یِمو ٲسۍ زٕ چیلینج یُس bipolarity world جوٗرِنگ کوٗلڈ وار ایراہَس منٛز ٲسۍ. Hope you might have grasped the concept. In case of confusion, any confusion, you can call me. My number is 7006671106 or WhatsApp me on the same number. And when you forward your query by any means by calling by WhatsApp within short duration of time, your query or confusion shall be cleared. But important thing is that you have to search these things on your political science reference books, and you can also use the rest of the sources like Google to find out these things. But important thing is you have to remain stick to the books. You have to cage yourselves in your homes for better tomorrow, by which you can build your future also and also can defeat the COVID-19 infection. Thanks. Be blessed.